There was a wealthy couple, Riaz Padmansi and Baraz Padmansi, from Bombay. They had a lucrative business in America. They are staunch devotees of Sri Bhagavan and had come to Arunachala from the United States for a few days. I took them to Yogiji. It was their third visit to Yogiji. The lady asked Yogiji, "Swami, can I express a very personal anguish of mine?" Yes, tell this beggar." "My mother-in-law wants me to give her a grandson, as there are no male descendants in the family. I am 40 years old and a mother of 2 daughters. The doctors in America have strictly advised me against having another child because of medical complications, but the mother-in-law insists on it." Looking intently at her, Yogiji raised both his hands and said, "Father says there is no problem in your getting a son. So, without hesitation, conceive." The couple was overjoyed and returned to the United States. A few months later, I got a call from this lady. She was very pious, and sadly she told me, "Ganesan, in obedience to Yogiji's command, I conceived, much to the displeasure of my doctors. And sure enough, a miscarriage took place. I am in intense sorrow. Will you please inform Swami and get me his blessings?" When I reported this to Yogiji, he firmly said, "Father says there is a son. Father's blessings are fully on her. Assure her." She conceived again. Most unfortunately, this time too there was a miscarriage. The doctors were furious with her. She called me in a state of panic. I ran to Yogiji. Strangely, Yogiji too expressed anger. "What? Father says there is a son for her. Where is the room for doubting?" This time I got jittery. How to convey this message to a lady who was so deeply affected? Praying to Yogiji in my heart, I relayed the message. For several months, I did not hear anything from her. After more than a year, I finally got a call. It was from her. She joyously told me that she had given birth to a baby boy, and both she and her son were in good health. I reported it to Yogiji. Now that baby boy has completed his college education. When I was sent to live for a year in Kashi by Yogiji, he was very specific that I should not write to anyone else except him. That was the period when Yogiji was not talking directly to Anuradha, though she went regularly to sit silently in his presence. I was writing often to Yogiji, but not at all to Anuradha. She got worried about me and wanted to know how I was faring in Kashi. She went to Yogiji and prayed silently to him to give her news about me. Within a short time, a young couple came from Chennai, carrying with them a tiffin carrier filled with lunch that they had prepared that morning exclusively for Yogiji. Though they were well known to the Swami, he inquired, "May I know your names?" The gentleman replied, "My name is Ganesan, and my wife's name is Ganga. Swami, she takes good care of me, as advised by you." The yogi burst out laughing. "So Ganga is taking good care of Ganesa?" "Oh, Ganesa is being well taken care of by Ganga Ma." "Yes, indeed. At that time, I was well taken care of by Krishnamurti Foundation of India in Varanasi, on the banks of the Ganges. Moreover, Mother Ganga had blessed me by initiating me into a mantra. Once, when he was in Chennai, the Raja Ilalya got some excellent good apples from Kashmir. He rushed to Arunachala with a basket full of these apples. We both went early in the morning with the basket to Yogiji. After graciously receiving the basket and making us sit with him for half an hour, he sent us away saying, "Ganesa will have the ashram office work. He has to go. Let us take leave, friends." He gave us 2 apples each and told us to go back to the ashram. It was 7:30 a.m. My office work commenced at 9 o'clock, and my assistant Anuradha would report promptly at 9:30. When, after doing Giri Pradakshina, the circumambulation of Arunachala, with Yana Sundari and prostrating at Sri Bhagavan's shrine, Anuradha entered the office. She saw the Kashmir apples on my table. I said that I got them from Swami and that one of them was meant for her. She refused to accept it, saying, "I go round the holy hill, accompanied by somebody or the other almost every day. Today also, while we reached the big temple, both of us felt like going to Yogiji's house, prostrating to him and seeking his blessings. He blessed us and gave us a banana each as prasad. You both casually visit him. You get good Kashmir apples because you are the grandnephew of Sri Bhagavan and you are running the ashram. And Ilayaraja, well, he is very famous in the music field. Well, Yana Sundarai and I are just ordinary folks, so we get only the humble local bananas. Is it fair?" I was aghast since I knew Anuradha didn't even like apples. I reminded her that Swami was hearing everything that was being talked about him and that she was making a very unfair comment. She left for her home. It was just across the road in order to get for the office in a hurry. When she reported for work in the office at 9:30, I came to know from her that the Jaya Raman, a devotee of Yogiji who worked in the local office, came to the Savitri with a sense of urgency, as it was time for him to be at his office. Hurriedly placing an especially fine specimen of Kashmir apple in her hand, he told her, "Swami called me at 8 o'clock and gave this apple and told me that I should hand it over to you. He also insisted that I should not go to the office before giving you this apple." That evening, I pleaded with Anuradha that we should go to Yogiji and she should thank him for sending her the apple. Her sisters too had arrived from Chennai and were eager to meet Yogiji and receive his blessings. And so off we went in a group. Swami appeared to be in a serious mood. There was already a small crowd waiting outside. He opened the door, stood at the entrance, and as was usual for him, gave specific directions as to who should sit where. Anuradha was seated in her place, and her sisters were seated next to her. He turned to me and said very sternly, "Thambi, boy, you stand at the entrance and allow the visitors who come one by one inside." So happily I stood guard. He went and sat in his place. Anuradha's sisters had brought bananas. Swami distributed a banana each to everyone seated except me. He also ordered them to eat it. Then he called me and said, "Thambi, boy, collect the banana peels from everyone and throw them out." I did as he bid and was about to throw the peels out when he roared, "Thambi, you should not throw them near the house. You have to take them and throw them in the big waste bin kept there by the roadside." Noticing all that was taking place, Anuradha felt that Swami knew everything that had happened earlier and was demonstrating to her that he had no partiality. At that time, I was the de facto chief of the ashram, and yet Yogiji was treating me like an ordinary office boy or servant, while the crowd there was watching it. The moment Anuradha mentally apologized to Yogiji, immediately there was a complete change in him. He turned to me and said, "Ganesa, come and sit down in your usual place." Then, laughing uproariously, he gave me a few blows on my back. And when Anuradha stood up and prostrated him, Yogiji bent over and gave her a few blows on the back of the prostrating Anuradha as well. What a sound blessing it was.